Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I've got with us our director of photography who works with us on a lot of projects, Omar Lopez Jr. Hey, Omar.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. We recently did a project together that was a really cool and fun live stream combined with a lot of pre-produced remote production content that was for CrimeCon. It was a true crime convention, really cool. The live element came out of our studio. Most of it was just one person in our studio, but there was an element where there were multiple people in our not too gigantic New York City, Manhattan studio. And Omar and I were faced with a challenge. How do we have a man who's a little older and in the age group that is at high risk for COVID, and we need to be compliant not only for his sake, but for the sake of our, us, the health of everyone, but also just, meeting laws and regulations. And I wanted to talk about that because I was frustrated at some point where it's like, you've got to accomplish the goal of making the shot look good, making the show go on, but at the same time, accommodating for all these things. So Omar, tell me about some of the things that you came up with, some of the challenges that you find also.
This is where I find communication between, our team and the client really kind of has to shine, because very early on, you can combat all these COVID compliance issues that seem to come up with all these things. And they were not really issues there. It's really a matter of safety. You're trying to protect everyone, and it's limiting people in the room. It's really face-to-face time. Can that be all done virtually? And if it's not done virtually, who are those people who are going to be in the room? How many people at a time? How long are you going to be there? Because sometimes even just if you're in a room for half an hour instead of 2 hours, it helps tremendously lower the risk of everyone in the room. So as far as actual people on set, I feel like so many clients think of, okay, we can only have one person on or two people on. But even then, a lot of people are like, oh, let's do a live stream. Sometimes a modern control room typically has, 4 or 5 people just on the production team. And now you're trying to whittle that down to one technical director, one producer, and then one person to run around to do everything else. So I think it's really important to try to set up barriers if possible. And again, reduce face-to-face time, pick a bigger venue, a bigger room, things like that we kind of try to be cognizant of when we're actually filming.
Now, in this particular case, our studios, it's not too small, but it's also not the world's largest space in Manhattan either. So we were able to get some plexiglass and put it in between the people that are on camera, so that when they are talking with their mask off, not only are they way further than 6 feet apart, they've also got plexiglass. Like you said, moving air was an important part. Just simple things that other producers can take in consideration is just like you said, keeping the fans on. In this bill, we're in an office building in New York, so fan can get very cold very quickly, but also at the same time we got to keep in mind we need to keep the air moving, open a window during breaks, things like that, make sure people aren't in the same room when we don't need to be. So that's a good thing. We also found, Omar, that we need to separate people as much as possible, right? So we took teleprompter from something that used to be in studio to now outside of the studio. We take audio is out of the studio. We try to minimize, but you said it's harder because now more work falls on one person. But do you find that there's ever a benefit to this kind of setup that we could take post-COVID?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the benefit is people are realizing how much talking before something happens. Because a lot of times before COVID, we were like, we'll figure it out on set, right? So now I feel like being able to discuss everything before it happens, and then the day of it literally is just executing the plan. I think a lot of, especially smaller businesses, smaller commercial, they have a hard time with the pre-planning. And I think COVID kind of forces you to pre-plan. So it'd be really nice, after all this is over, that kind of, why are we having, 18 emails? We can have a quick 10-minute Zoom meeting. We all know how it works now. So let's just get it done, knocked out, and we're ready to go. So I feel like there are times that, sometimes it's just too many cooks in the kitchen. And I think COVID is starting to open that up, where it's like, why would I have 8 people in a room when a couple people can do the job just as well? And I think that's all very helpful for smaller businesses and smaller clients.
I mean, look, admittedly, I was very frustrated on set for that particular situation because I was like, we only have a certain amount of time. We've got to figure this out. Like you said, we could discuss as much of it as we can in advance, but sometimes you do have to make split-second decisions. Now, you actually happen to have somebody in your household who's a COVID compliance person. Tell me about that, and then also, what were some of the challenges that maybe we figured out together?
So I think having a COVID compliance officer literally be my girlfriend at home helps me a lot because one, it keeps me safe because I can talk to her and like, hey, we're doing this on set. Is that good? And there's always a lot of producers don't like to hear this, but there's always like the tiers. And I've had this discussion with you where it's like, literally the first tier is, I always tell the clients, should we be doing this in person? Is it worth it to you? There are, typically value-wise, you can get the same result by doing it remotely. If you have to have that live component, that in-person feel, then it becomes, can you limit people? And you can move down from there. And kind of discussing that beforehand, and also, again, having a COVID compliance officer at home, it really, it kind of makes you think. So then when I step on set and I'm talking with you, Mike, or any other, person on set, it becomes like, okay, we need to police each other with mask wear and sanitation and everything like that. But also just having some common sense, like, okay, well, I'm about to go over here to do this. Is there anything else that you need before like I go talk to the talent again and back and forth, stuff like that, that it really is just taking a moment and just figuring out the problem, which we do in production naturally anyways. So now it's just doing it a little bit quicker and with a little bit more sanitation in mind.
I think recently, over the last 9 months or so since COVID hit, it's forced me as a producer and business owner to start taking into consideration. I mean, look, I'm always looking out for the people that work for me, but I think we have to understand that we have a responsibility for not only each other, but ourselves. And, I think, Omar, you're very good at this and encouraging others too. I hope that I do the same to tell people to advocate for themselves, for those others who are working in production or in any field. Like, remember to advocate for your own health, advocate for yourself. And yes, maybe sometimes conversations might be a little more challenging or difficult to have, but ultimately it's for everyone's good. And so, Omar, I appreciate everything that you bring to the table, not only your insight, intelligence, but your talent and your skills. So thank you.
Thanks.